this is the final lab question that I'm going to be answering. One of the students, they had an item animate in and fill up a shape. And so for what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use candy corn because next week is Halloween and I just feel like being festive. So I'm going to make a new composition. I'll call this Halloween. Alright, let's pretend I've got the... I'll just make a shape. I'll do a star. Nothing fancy. Clean and simple. Here's my star shape. Okay? And this is going to be my alpha mat. I want the star to fill up with candy corn. So I'm going to get my candy corn, put it in here. Remember, I just dragged the item, not the thumbnail. Crank this up. Now, let's see what we can get with a Luma key. I know it's going to get a little dicey right there, but nah, I'll just do it with the mask tool. Cleaner, simpler. And I'm clicking, dragging. Remember, just like with the pen tool in Illustrator, you don't want to touch the path or the handles, like such. Not going for precision here, I'm just keying this out. Okay. So there's my candy corn. I'm going to scale this down because it's way too big. I want smaller candy corn. Alright. I'm going to have the candy corn fall onto the screen and fill up my star shape. So to do that, I'm going to lock my star just that I did that right here. I don't accidentally select it. Alright. I'll start with the middle. So I'm going to hit P for position. Say I want this to fall at 11 frames just so it's not falling too long. I'm going to have it fall past the item so that when I'm doing the other parts, it'll still be in there. And I'm going to have it bounce a little bit. A little bit of an overshoot there. I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'm also going to have it rotate a little as it falls. So right here, I zoom in. This is the impact. Put a keyframe right here. Come up a little, turn in the air. And then land on its side. Fine with that. So that's what's going to happen. That's all the keyframing. I'm just going to easy ease this, just for simplicity's sake. If I wanted to get more into it, I'd go into the speed graph and edit the points of each part of the animation that I wanted to by dragging the yellow ball of the influence handle, not the square. Remember, if you move the square, you'll get some crazy results, which you do not want to happen in this animation. So that's it. I've got that one. I'm going to duplicate that layer. And with the position, I've selected all the keyframes just by clicking position, and I'm over a keyframe. So if I want this to fall a little bit beside it, and I move it to the side, all the keyframes move over to the side. As you can see, it's falling straight down, but over to the side of the other one. Now, I'm going to offset the animation a little bit, so it's falling at a different time, like such. I'm going to pre-compose these two together. Right click, hit pre-compose, calls Candy 1. So I've got that going on. I'm going to duplicate this, offset it a little bit, so that when it falls, I'm going to move it up a little bit and over to the side a little. And I can even rotate the entire piece. Now I'll move it again. Let's rotate that a little bit more. Let's have it go in the opposite direction. There we go. So now I'm just going to move the layer. See how that's falling. I rotated that too much because now it's going to fall goofy. So I'm just undoing that. Go. A little more. I got too crazy with my animation. Undo. There we go. All right. That, and then I'll just move the location of it over a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to duplicate these two, but first I'm going to pre-compose it. I'll call this Candy 2. So now when I duplicate this and offset it a little bit, I've got more candy coming in, and I'll have this, I'll move this over to about there. So now I've got a whole bunch of candy falling in with the rotation, rotating differently. I'll rotate this a little bit as well. Let's go in the opposite direction. About there. And I'll move it over. Okay. So now when I select these two, pre-compose it, called Candy 3, and I duplicate this layer, Command D, offset it a little bit in time, and I'm just going to move it over to the side, and I'll have it go down a little further than the other two. So now I've got a whole bunch of candy falling in, and I only keyframed one of them, but I'm getting a bigger and bigger amount each time I select both of them, pre-compose it, called Candy 4. I'm going to duplicate that, offset it some more, and put it like right over here. And this one I'll rotate the opposite direction of the others, like such. Select these two, pre-compose again, Candy 5, and so on. Now when I duplicate it, offset it a little bit by clicking and dragging in the timeline. I move it over to here. You just keep on doing this until you fill up whatever you're trying to fill. And so the shape that I want to fill up, let's say the star, I'm going to unclick. Remember, when you're using alpha mats, think of it, mask always goes on top of your face. Make sure you're in your switches and modes by clicking right there. And I'm going to pre-compose these two together one last time. So I'm going to call this All Candy, so that this one layer is now going to be alpha masked by the star. And there you have it. You got a little bit more of a complex animation just from the one item by duplicating it many, many times and pre-composing it together, then offsetting it in the timeline. So when I open this pre-comp, here's the nested compositions. Open that, there's the nested compositions there, and so on and so forth, and it just keeps going downstream until we get to the original shape. Close that, and here's the Halloween one. So if I duplicate this, say I want the star in the background, I've got this duplicated, that's fine. Now I can show it, and the star is masking out the candy, and I've still got a star in the background. I can make it whatever color I want because this one's still on top. Let's change the fill of that to green for Halloween. And there you have it. So I still have my shape because I duplicated it, and I've got the shape acting as an alpha mat on top of all that pre-composed candy. So if I moved this up, still being masked out, inside the shape, like such. And that's just a quick example of creatively using alpha mats. And as we did before with the rotoscoping, and I showed you how to do it with video in week 6, I believe.